Hello everyone, and today we're going to be diving into probably one of the most important concepts in strength training, progressive overload. Now, I know that sounds like a lot of fancy jargon, but stick with me because this is genuinely like the secret sauce to actually like building muscle, getting stronger, and avoiding those ever increasingly frustrating plateaus. So whether you're brand new to the gym or you've been training for a while but you just feel a bit stuck, understanding progressive overload is going to be a game changer. And the best part, it's actually pretty simple once you break it down. Okay, so what is progressive overload? Well, in the simplest terms, it's the principle of gradually increasing the stress that you place on your body during workouts over time. So the thing is, your body is incredibly adaptable, a bit like a Saiyan. So when you challenge it, it responds by getting stronger, building muscle, and improving your overall condition. Think about it this way. If you've been benching the same weight for the same number of reps for about 6 months, your body has already adapted to that challenge. It's like, okay, cool, I can handle this now. And it has no reason to keep improving. Progressive overload is about constantly giving your body a reason to adapt. This can mean adding more weight to the bar, doing more reps or sets, or making the exercise harder in other ways, and we'll talk about that in a minute. The key is that gradual increase in demand. When you do this consistently, your muscles experience what's called micro tears and mechanical tension, which your body repairs by making those muscle fibers stronger and often larger. So why should you care about this? Well, progressive overload is honestly the most reliable way to keep making gains instead of hitting a wall. I see this all the time. Someone comes to me frustrated because they've been going to the gym constantly for months, maybe even a year, but they're not seeing results anymore. And then when we have a look at their training, they've been doing the exact same weight and reps week after week. Their body has adapted and it's not having that challenge anymore. And now it has zero reason to keep improving. Without progressive overload, you're basically just maintaining what you have. And look, maintenance does has its place, but if your goal is to get stronger and build muscle or improve your fitness, then you're gonna need that gradual progression. The good news is that progressive overload doesn't just build muscle and strength, it also strengthens your bones, it strengthens your tendons, your ligaments, and it can actually improve your cardiovascular fitness and overall work capacity. These adaptations help reduce injury risk both in the gym and in everyday life, and this is especially important as we age. Okay, so how do we actually do this? Well, there are several ways to progressively overload, and you don't actually have to do all of them at once. In fact, you probably shouldn't. The most straightforward method is obviously increasing the weight on the bar. When you can perform your target reps with good form, you add a small amount of weight, probably around 2.5 to 5%. So if you're squatting, say like 100 pounds or 100 kilos for 3 sets of 10, and you've nailed that for a couple of sessions, then you might want to bump it up by 5 pounds or 2.5 kilos back to 8 or 9 reps. Another approach is adding reps or sets with the same weight. So let's say you did 3 sets of 8 reps on an exercise. Next week you might aim for 3 sets of 9 or 10 reps at the same weight. And once you hit the top of your rep range comfortably, maybe that's 3 sets of 12, then you might want to think about increasing the weight and then drop back down in reps. You can also decrease your rest periods between sets. You can slow down the tempo for more control, or you can increase the range of motion. All of these make the same weight feel harder, which creates that progressive challenge that your body needs. Here's the thing though, you want to change one variable at a time. Please don't go add weight and reps and sets all in the same week, because that is just a recipe for burnout or injury. Pick one progression method and stick with it for a few weeks before changing things up. And when it comes to how fast you should progress, most coaching guidelines suggest keeping weekly increases modest. so somewhere between that 2.5 to 10% in load or volume. The key thing is that the load still feels challenging, but still allows you to maintain good technique. Remember, form always comes first. If you're new to all of this, please don't worry. Progressive overload for beginners is actually really straightforward. So I want you to start with a simple full body routine, maybe 2 to 3 times a week, and then pick 4 to 6 big movements like squats, a hip hinge movement like RDLs, a push exercise like bench press or push-ups, maybe a pull like bent over rows or pull downs, and maybe a core exercise. Begin with 2 to 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps per exercise, using a weight that feels challenging but leaves you with 1 to 3 reps still in the tank. You shouldn't be grinding out every single rep from day one. And here's a simple rule that I would like you to follow. Keep the same weight for at least 2 to 3 sessions. Your goal is to hit the top of your rep range with solid technique. Once you can complete all of your planned sets and reps with good form for 2 sessions in a row, then you're ready to make it a bit harder. So let me give you an example. Let's say you do goblet squats. Week 1 you use 10 kg for 3 sets of 8. Then week 2 you do 10 kg for 3 sets of 9 or 10 reps. Week 3 is 10 kg for 3 sets of 11 to 12 reps. On week 4, bump up to 12 kg and then drop back down to 3 sets of 8. This keeps your progression gradual, it limits injury risk, and it makes your progress super easy to track. Now let's talk about the common mistakes that I see people make with progressive overload, because avoiding these will save a lot of frustration and potential injuries. So the biggest mistake is normally just piling on the weight too fast. And I get it, adding like 10 or 20 kilograms sounds pretty impressive, but jumping the load up that aggressively almost always leads to problems. Your form breaks down, you can't hit your target reps, and you increase your chance of injury. So make small jumps instead. Relating to that is letting your form slip just to move more weight. If you're shortening your range of motion, or bouncing the weight, or using a ton of momentum just to say that you lifted heavier, you're not actually overloading the target muscle effectively. You're ego lifting. You're just shifting the tension somewhere else and potentially setting yourself up for joint pain or injury. Another mistake is changing too many variables at once. I've briefly already mentioned this, but don't increase your weight, sets, reps, and training frequency all in the same week. Your body just can't adapt to everything at once, and you'll likely just end up fatiguing or overtrain. So stick to progressing one main variable at a time. Program hopping is another huge one as well. If you're constantly changing exercises or switching to completely different programs every week, you can't track whether you're actually getting stronger at anything. So pick a program, stick with it for at least a few months, and track your progress. And that leads to the next point, not tracking your workouts at all. If you're relying on memory and vibes, like how I'm feeling today, instead of writing down what you lifted last time, you're making it way harder on yourself. Get a notebook, use your phone's notes app, use a fitness app, just track with something. And finally, don't ignore recovery and pain signals. Training hard is important, yes, but if you're not sleeping well, eating enough, or taking easier recovery weeks when needed, your progress will stall. And if you're pushing through sharp pain or persistent joint soreness, you're turning small issues into long-term problems. So just make sure you listen to your body. Speaking of tracking, let's talk about the best ways to monitor your progressive overload. The simplest method is to log every workout. Write down the exercise, the weight that you used, how many sets did you do, how many reps did you do, every single session. You can use a basic notebook, a spreadsheet, or one of the many workout apps that are out there. Doesn't really matter as long as you are consistent. One metric a lot of people use is total volume load. That's just weight times reps times sets for each exercise. If that number is trending up over weeks and months, then you know that you are successfully overloading. Make sure you set clear progression markers for yourself. Note your personal records, your heaviest weight, the most reps at a given weight, best total volume. These concrete milestones make it easy to see when you've genuinely progressed. And here's a simple rule that you can use. When you hit the top of your rep range for 2 sessions in a row, increase the weight by the smallest jump available and then just note it down. Having these clear rules takes out all of the guesswork when you're trying to make progress. If you like technology, apps like Strong, Heavy, or similar workout trackers can automatically store your history, show your charts of your progress, and highlight your personal bests. They make it really easy to spot when you're making steady progress or when you've hit a wall. Okay, let's just wrap it all up with a few key principles to remember. First, form before weight. Always leave your ego at the door and focus on your technique for the best results. And this way you'll lower the injury risk as well. Second, change one thing at a time. Don't try to add weight, reps, and sets all at once. Pick one variable and progress it gradually. Third, use a rep window. Set yourself a range of like 8 to 12 reps. If you can't hit 8, then the weight is too heavy. If you can comfortably do 12, it's time to move up. And fourth, record your progress. I actually just can't stress this enough. If you don't track your workouts, you risk losing track of your progress, and it's way harder to stay motivated. And finally, be patient. Progressive overload is not a quick fix. You're not going to add 50 kg to your squat in a month, and this is about making it sustainable, having gradual improvements that builds real strength over time. Should your progress go up every week? Not necessarily. Sometimes you need a bit more time to adjust to things, but just don't rush it. Build it slowly, build it gradually, and build it safely. Progressive overload might sound complicated at first, but once you understand it, it kind of becomes second nature. You show up, you do a little bit more than last time, you track it, and then over weeks and months, you look back and realize how far you've actually come. So yeah, I hope you found this helpful, and if you want more training tips, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you're looking for personalized coaching to help you implement these principles in your own training, then check out the link in the description where you can inquire about training with me. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.